A team is missing deadlines. Leadership responds by demanding more accountability. 6 months later, deadlines are still being missed. A department is struggling with employee turnover. Leadership responds by offering retention bonuses. A year later, people are still leaving. Sales are declining. Customer complaints are increasing. Employee morale is collapsing. And leadership keeps implementing solutions after solution. Yet somehow nothing improves. Why? Because many leaders spend their careers fixing symptoms, while the real problem quietly survives underneath. And the most dangerous part, the harder they work, the more convinced they become that they are solving the right problem. That is the dangerous part, because they don't listen to alternatives anymore. Today, I want to show you why that happens and why some of the smartest leaders unintentionally make organizational problems worse. When something goes wrong in an organization, most leaders immediately ask, "How do we fix this?" That's a good reaction. Seems reasonable. But great organizational leaders ask a different question first. What is actually causing this? That difference sounds small, but it changes everything. Because symptoms are visible. Causes often are not. Symptoms are loud. Causes are usually hidden. It's no difference from a medical doctor diagnosing a disease. When the patient comes to the emergency room, they complain of violent headaches. Yes, the doctor will address the headaches, but they will look for the deeper reason for the headaches. But what some organizational leaders do is to just give, pain meds and send the patient home. And organizations have a remarkable ability to distract leaders with visible problems while concealing the systems that create the problem. Human beings naturally focus on what they can see. If employees are arguing, we focus on the argument. If productivity is declining, we focus on productivity. If turnover increases, we focus on turnover. But organizational systems are different. Systems operate beneath the surface. They are made up of incentives, structures, communication patterns, habits, expectations, leadership behaviors. And because these things are less visible, leaders often underestimate their influence. So they attack the symptom. Meanwhile, the system keeps producing the same problem. Again and again and again. Let me give you a healthcare example. Imagine a hospital unit experiencing high burnout. Nurses are exhausted. Morale is low. Turnover is increasing. Leadership notices the problem and responds. They bring in pizza. They organize appreciation events. They distribute thank you cards. Nothing wrong with any of those things, but 6 months later, burnout is still growing. Why? Because burnout was never caused by a lack of pizza. Burnout may have been caused by, chronic understaffing, unclear expectations, poor communication, constant workflow disruption, or emotional exhaustion. The symptom was low morale. The system was the real problem. And until the system changes, the symptom keeps returning. This is where many leaders get trapped. Visible problems create pressure. I understand that. Pressure creates urgency. I do understand that. Urgency encourages quick solutions. That also is obvious. And quick solutions often target symptoms, unfortunately. They do not target the causes. That creates what I call the activity trap. Leaders become busy. Meetings increase. Initiatives multiply. Policies change. Emails fly everywhere. Everyone feels productive, but the underlying problem remains untouched. And eventually, frustration grows because people worked hard without making meaningful progress. This is where emotional intelligence becomes critical. Emotionally intelligent leaders resist the temptation to react immediately. Instead, they become curious. They ask questions such as, what am I missing? What might be driving this behavior? What patterns keep repeating? What are people experiencing that I cannot see? Emotionally intelligent leaders understand something powerful. They understand that people often become the visible expression of invisible organizational problems. Before blaming individuals, they investigate the environment surrounding those individuals. Transformational leaders think differently too. They understand that sustainable change requires understanding the system producing the outcome. When transformational leaders see a problem, they do not simply ask who made the mistake. They ask what conditions made this outcome possible. That question shifts attention from blame to learning. And organizations improve when they learn faster than problems develop. Servant leaders bring another perspective. They ask, what barriers are preventing people from succeeding? Notice the difference. Not who failed, but what is getting in their way. This mindset creates trust. It encourages honesty, and it often reveals hidden obstacles that would otherwise remain invisible. The next time you encounter a recurring problem, ask yourself these 5 questions. Question 1. Is this the problem or the symptom of a deeper problem? Question 2. Has this issue appeared before? Question 3. What patterns keep repeating? Question 4. What organizational systems might be contributing? And question 5, if I solved the symptom today, would the problem return next month? Those questions can save organizations enormous amount of time, money, and frustration. Here's the reframe I want you to remember. Most organizational problems are not events. They are outputs. Outputs of systems. Outputs of incentives. Outputs of structures. I can even add outputs of leadership decisions. And until leaders learn to diagnose systems, they will continue fighting the same problems repeatedly. So here's the bottom line. Weak leaders react to symptoms. Strong leaders diagnose causes. Great leaders understand systems, because the fastest way to solve a problem is not to work harder. It's to understand what is actually creating it. And once you see the system, many organizational problems suddenly become much easier to understand. This week, think about one persistent problem in your organization. Just one. Then ask yourself, am I trying to solve the symptom? Or am I trying to understand the system producing the symptom? Because that single question may completely change how you lead. If you found value in this discussion and want practical leadership insights like this every week, consider subscribing. This is Vitalis Esala Leadership Lab. And if you are currently facing a situation where you need clarity and a real decision, not just theory, I offer one-on-one clarity sessions. See you in the next video.